Welcome to another exciting episode of Prepper Talk Radio. We are live with our weekly, just most exciting time of life broadcast. We are live on Facebook. We are live in our Facebook group, and we're live on YouTube. So if you want to know where to go to connect with us on Wednesday nights at 6 Mountain Time, this is it. This is the place. And as usual, I'm Scott. That is Shane, and right there is Paris. If you're watching the video, I'm pointing to them. If you're listening to the audio, I was also pointing to them. Welcome, guys.
That's awesome. We're excited.
This is one of my favorite types of things to do is to go live and interact with you guys, reminiscent of our radio days. And without going too far, I want to remind you guys, if you want to get involved with some of the stuff we're doing, make sure you join our Facebook group, Emergency Prep and Self-Reliance. You can find it linked off of our Facebook page, which, it's pretty easy to find, Prepper Talk Radio. We're also on all the socials. You can follow us wherever you are. And the best way to engage with us, honestly, here is YouTube and in our Facebook group. So make sure you're connected on those platforms. We had a problem. We did a giveaway, and one of the people responded, and they get their silver. That would be Stacy. Our other giveaway was supposed to be a Jase case.
Mm-hmm.
And we DM'd.
We gave them a week longer than
we gave them 2 weeks to claim their prize. And you know what? That means it's back up for grabs. Should we find out who the new winner is?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
Okay.
We did everything we could to get a hold of the person, and they didn't respond. So some lucky person gets to be the next winner. We'll see. I'm excited.
Let's see what we got. And I apologize if I've got people in here that don't need to be in here.
Just really fast, just a reminder on the rules. You had to be in our Facebook group. You have to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you have to respond when we tell you that you won.
Yeah, you got 7 days from this live broadcast to redeem your prize. And how do you redeem it? Just hop on our Facebook group and let us know you're there. Reply to us, comment on our Facebook page. Anywhere you can get a hold of us, get a hold of us. We don't care where. Just tell us. Hey, I saw it. I see I won. And there you are, right? Like, this is good through the 17th of May. On the 18th, we're going to draw somebody else. So here we go. Boom, spinning.
Oh, I can hear the sound effects.
Can you hear it? Brent Hunt, you have 7 days.
Brent Hunt. We'll put it in the Facebook group. We'll tag you, and you have 7 days to show us that you are a subscriber to our YouTube channel and that you are in our group. Well, this came from people who are in a group, so we should be fine.
This will go to show if you interact with the group and keep your notifications on. So that's a good reminder. On YouTube, on Facebook, turn on your notifications from us. And that way you'll see when you win. You also see when we reply to your comments. But yeah, this is exciting. You need to know. And for those of you who did not win, make sure you go over to jasemedical.com. Use the promo code PrepperTalk. That'll save $10 off the Jase case. That is your emergency antibiotics case. And it is specific prescription to you. I've got one. Shane's got one. Paris has one. They're fantastic. I've actually used mine and had to get refills. Life-saving. Like, I don't know, maybe not life-saving, but quality of life.
Potentially.
Potentially life-saving. They're fantastic. I needed a Z-Pack. I couldn't get a hold of my doctor. I consulted the case, and I had one. And it was perfect timing, so I got one.
Nice.
And when I got in to see the doctor 2 days later, they prescribed me a new one. And so I just put that in the kit.
Nice.
Same thing.
That's awesome.
It's fantastic. So without going too far off, today we want to talk about prepping DIYs. Kind of some how-tos, some projects, some things that you should probably be thinking of. Summertime, when you live in a place where it has all 4 seasons, like all winter, I'm like, oh, I put this on the list. I need to do this when the weather's nice, right? You start stacking up everything. Oh, I got to get my greenhouse fixed. I got to get this done. I got to build this. So what are some of the things that are on your lists of DIYs that you want to get accomplished this year, or just maybe some things you put on the list of eventually? Shane's got a big smile.
Just reading Mike's comment here.
Oh, he needs to order a Jase case for his wife when she travels without me.
Without me.
That's awesome. Mike, you're awesome, dude.
That is legendary. What's funny is my sister-in-law and I share the same birthday, and she's about to have a baby, so the same birthday month, I guess. And my mother-in-law is going out to be with my sister-in-law who's about to have her baby, and I'm like, man, we need to get a Jase case with her because you never know, she's gonna be a few states away. It's just good to have.
Speaking of which, isn't today a special day for you, Scott?
About 46 years ago it was.
Wait, what? All right, are you ready? On the count of three, everybody, let's, wherever you are
right.
in this thing, all 5 of the people watching right now, let's sing happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Scott. Happy birthday to you.
Then we always do the
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm weird about birthdays. I grew up we just didn't really do a whole lot for her birthday. And so when I got married, I really pissed off my wife, and I apologize profusely for this, but she did all this stuff. She got up early, she decorated, and I'm like, thank you. You didn't need to do all that. What? I was just like, what? And so she doesn't do that as much for me, but for the kids, she goes all out. And I'm like, okay, 100% support this for the kids, but you don't need to do anything for me. And then of course she does something for me anyways, and it's awesome, and I love her, and she's amazing. But yeah, it's funny because like I'm 46 now. I've got my oldest kid is 6, my youngest kid is 4, and I'm 6 years older than my wife. And my daughter figured all this out while we were talking last night. She's like, oh, I'm 6 and he's 4. That's a 4-6. You're 46. That's a 4-6. And
that's awesome.
And she's like going through all the different things. She's like, I'm exactly 40 years younger than you, Dad. And Mom is 6 years younger than you, Dad. That's a 4 and a 6. I'm like, okay, genius, stop. Like, just stop.
That's awesome.
This is crazy. It's amazing.
She's running the math.
Right.
Which is a great do-it-yourself math equation that she figured out.
Well, that's true. And we need to do some more fun stuff with her and both my kids, honestly, some DIY stuff. I want to get them more involved this year in the greenhouse. Have them actually planting their own rows of stuff. We got to get that in now because the weather's already warm and it's time. I'm behind. I'm just so far behind. I got to get so many things done right now, and that's later down on the list, which is kind of sad to say. But thank you, everybody, for the birthday wishes. Now back to our topic: DIYs. Like kind of the how-tos. Like what's on your list?
So I want to just share first of all that I think that I have a lot to learn. I know I have the capacity to do a lot of things myself. I recently had a tree trimmer come out and take out a tree that was planted way too close to my neighbor, and it's already sick, and he says it's got 1 foot in the grave and a bunch of other things. And I'm like, I could probably do it myself, but these guys know how to do it already. And so I try to learn from them. But in the meantime, what can I do to practice? Not much. So without really having a lot of experience or a lot of like putting money into going back to school or something else, what are some things that I can do to be in a position where when I do need a DIY, I have resources to do that? And one of those things, and I'm going to share this with you, I know Scott and Shane have this too, but I've got a little bit of a library here that I brought for the show of things that I know that one of the great things that we can do for DIY stuff is have a library of good, strong DIY stuff. I got the book, The Lost Ways. That's a book about a bunch of stuff that our ancestors used to do. I've got a Back to Basics that talks about ways to do things. I got a Self-Sufficient Backyard. I got a bunch of these other books that can teach me and show me how to do. I even went down to Home Depot and bought their their book on how to build things and repair and do those types of repairs. So that right now with the economy the way it is, if it's easier for me, I could pay somebody to do that. It helps people out. But when it gets to the point where I need to do it, I want to know that I have the resources that I can say, you know what, I got a book, I have a resource, I can learn how to do this, and I can go do it myself. So I highly recommend that you get a good, strong library of physical books that you can have and use to be able to, because if the grid goes down, you're not going to be able to get on the internet or watch YouTube on how to do
You're
something.
not streaming Netflix no more, guys. Like you get back to you better have some reading glasses as well, because if your vision starts decaying like mine has, you're gonna want to have those to help read. We've got resource list on our website. If you go to preppertalkradio.com/resources, you can see a lot of the books that we recommend, and we update this. So we're showing it on the screen right now, but like there are so many cool books that you should have. For example, this survival guide. I have this. I use it often. My Boy Scout of America handbook. I use that often. There's a lot of good DIYs in there. There are so many things that I think you should get. We think you should get. We've got. I probably should have kept that open, but we've got canning books and first aid pocket guides. We've got the survival medicine handbook on the list. There's so many books. You can click on those. That'll take you over where you can buy them, get your physical copy. Fantastic resources to have. The other thing is if there are videos that you love that you're like, wow, this is really helpful, there are tools that you can download videos from YouTube, and then you can save them on a hard drive and put that hard drive and a backup laptop in a Faraday cage. And the simplest way to do a Faraday cage is a metal bucket with a metal lid. Have you guys built one of those before?
That sounds like
you can go to Lowe's, Home Depot, Ace Hardware, get their small metal garbage can with a metal lid, and then you put down cardboard in the base, wrap the wall around with cardboard,
something to insulate.
You insulate so that no metal edges are coming through to touch the device. And then I put the devices in some Faraday bags just in case.
Nice.
Double protection.
Speaking of which,
simple little DIY. It cost me $7.
Speaking of which,
$12 since the pandemic, but
I was going to say that this June 2nd and 3rd, we're going to be in Farmington, Utah at the Be Prepared Expo, and we had Chris Turpin on the show to kind of promote it, and he told us that there's a guy out of Texas that creates I don't know if they're the best ever, but they're pretty strong and solid Faraday bags, and he makes these bags, and I think that if you come and talk to this guy, you'll get some great I'm sure that he'll have a convention deal. So if you want to get some good Faraday bags, come to the Be Prepared Expo and be a part of that, and come say hi to us, because we'll be there, and then for sure you can get there's going to be some great resources at that thing, and one of them is a Faraday bag. So I know that we've talked a lot. You know what, Scott and I were talking on the phone the other day, and Shane, I know you'll agree with this, even though we haven't revealed this to you until right now, but we were talking on the phone the other day. We're like, what are some things that we can really do to promote on our show and talk about some of the basics of survival? And one of those is building a garden and knowing how, like, for example, one of the DIY skills that I want to build is when I'm out in the woods or when I'm out somewhere, I know what I can forage and eat. Or even in my own we've had Buna on our show before, and she was fantastic. She's passed away, unfortunately, and she was an amazing woman, and she shared with us all the great things that grow in our own yard that we could use as edible plants in our own yards. So some great things like that to plant, even just as foliage, to beautify your home and your property, that you can actually still also use for edible plants, which is awesome. So I think that's something that's really cool that we can, what's one of the things that I feel like I want to start focusing on as a DIY is to really learn how to grow a garden and get a greenhouse like you have, Scott, and really be a little bit more self-reliant on that end.
And that's one of the things about the greenhouse and the garden. One of the things I learned is I needed to water more. And also potatoes are kind of hard to ruin if you've got the right varieties. So doing mixed sweet potatoes grew fantastically in my garden. The russets didn't do so well. The Yukon Golds, fantastic. They were a little small because I didn't water them enough. But like learning what grows better where you are and how to grow enough of the things that you like that you're going to want to eat, those are fantastic things to focus on.
Yeah, I think this is a great comment here. Bought an older iPad and just put nothing but audiobooks and your book repository and put that in a Faraday bag. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I've got one of those sitting around actually.
And if you get it, you can get a pretty inexpensive solar panel chart, and that will plug right into, like, I have a laptop that I actually tried this. I had the solar panel in the sun, and I ran a cable to keep my laptop going, and it actually charged my laptop from the sun. I didn't want to have my laptop in the sun because I didn't want it to overheat, but I had the solar panel, and you can get them, the small cheap ones are like 50 or $60.
Yep.
And you can get those, and they will charge your laptop, and then you can plug that into your laptop and watch it. And that way it can go forever as long as the laptop stays good.
And also keep in mind that laptop can act as your battery bank. You can charge that as if it were a battery bank, and then charge your other devices off the USB from your laptop as well. So, that's another DIY thing that I was prepared to talk about today, is building your own battery bank, what I call it. It's not a solar generator, right? Call it a solar generator, whatever you want, but a battery backup battery system that can be charged with solar, can be charged with plugging it in the wall, a lot of different ways. You could build your own. It's the thing about DIY that I wanted to make sure to convey to everybody is that whether you think you can, whether you have experience doing something in the past or not, there's always right now is the time to start, right? And I think once you get success doing one thing, you can continue on. I think a lot of people have, maybe not necessarily in the prepper community, have the attitude that, oh, I can't do that, I'll just pay somebody else to do it, right? Somebody else that knows what they're doing, that is experienced. And do it yourself. Screw up, make mistakes, and then learn that way. Yeah, it might cost you a little bit more if you do it yourself and you make some mistakes, but
at least try it.
Exactly. At least try it. The knowledge you're going to learn for whatever cost it might be will be worth it. Guarantee it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is awesome. FTSR. I was just about to say this. I always say it wrong. Blue Eddy.
That's what
EcoFlow for charging devices, and they keep one in an old Coleman fully metal cooler, which acts as a Faraday cage. I grew up with one of those, and I wish I could get my hands on one of those old coolers. But here's how you do it. This summer, one of my goals is to go to more garage sales, yard sales. Ooh. You can find all kinds of cool stuff, old hand tools that don't need power, right? The things that will help you sustain yourself throughout whatever. But here's the thing, going back to learning things, make the mistakes now when you've got the hospital still open, in case, you get shrapnel in your eye because you tried to do something stupid with the grinder, right? Make sure you've got experience now making as many mistakes as possible so that when SHTF happens, there's less medical emergencies that you're going to have to deal with as you make mistakes, right? And you don't waste resources that you need big time at that moment.
Mike and we're on the same page.
Oh yeah, Goal Zero is awesome.
We're on the same page. And then I built my own, which is here on the floor, but it weighs about 70 pounds. It's a little bit hard to hold up in front of the camera.
Speaking of DIY, one of the crazy things this last week or two, I've met a couple of people that have told me they make their own laundry detergent. And part of the reason why is because of the chemicals that are in these things you find on the shelf, and just the horrid things they put in it. In fact, and then I have a lady that another lady that I go to church with. She just posted how she's been making soap. And she's like, hey, if anybody wants a bar of soap from these soaps that I've been making,
I'll take one.
I'll come on over. Yeah. And I'm just that's so cool. There's all these things that sometimes we just take for granted, that, soap and milk and lemonade and all these things that used to be just made by hand in the backyard. Today we go to the store and we buy it, and we're like, totally forgot that that was once a backyard making item,
right?
And so how to make detergent, how to make soap, probably even simple things like how to make your own shampoo is going to be all those things. Learn how to do that. Learn how to do it now. So when it's not available because the supply chain goes down, you have the resources, and then use that as part of your storage. For example, my wife my wife knows how to make baked bread. And so we have a ton of yeast. We have a ton of flour. We have a ton of the salt and the different things that you need to bake bread. That's part of our food storage, is all the ingredients. So that's something that I think that's important too, to have as part of your DIY, have the ingredients in your storage as well.
Yeah. And like have the ingredients and know how to use it. Oh, Melissa just threw the recipe. Borax, Epsom salt, baking soda bath. It's a detox wonder. So I bought this borax for that reason. I'm going to do some detox stuff. Like, learn these things now, guys. Like, practice now.
Mhm.
Get used to doing things now. Like I went last October, we went to an old town that in this town, they were showing how to do things, how to make bread over a fireplace, how to make candles, and what candles were made out of back then. And what's interesting is like at the end of this harvest season, they would slaughter a pig. And then they would render all the fat down and use that to make their candles and all their soap after all the harvest was done, after everything else was done. And they'd be able to make enough for the whole next year. And that just blew my mind because I'm like, wow, you prioritize when you do certain things and then use everything else out of that experience for another project. Like when you use wood to keep your home heated, you save the ash. And what do you do with the ash?
You can use
the
a lot of
best thing
uses
is
for
garden,
ash.
right?
Nice.
It's great.
Lye soap.
Right?
Mhm.
There's so many things you can use. And it's like, start doing those things now. That's why I put my greenhouse up and started gardening last year. Even though I have a deer population that likes to get into everything, guess what? The greenhouse stops them. They're like, what is this behemoth? I'm staying away. And it also keeps the turkeys out, which is great. But it's like, you've got to start now. Like, do you not know how to start a fire on your own? Practice now. Right? Do you want to? You can either go to like Blackbeard fire starters and buy their cool stuff and use code Prepper Talk to save some money, or you can take some Vaseline, take some cotton balls, rub the cotton ball and cover it completely in Vaseline, and then wrap it in a piece of tinfoil. And guess what? You've got a fire bundle right there. You can light it up with a ferro rod real easily. You can use a lighter to light it up real easy, and you're not wasting a lot of fuel. And they can use that to start your tinder bundle, and then close it back up in the tinfoil, suffocate it, and use it again later.
Nice.
There's so many little things you can do that are going to save you time and energy later, that also teach you important lessons now. Like I want to create a root cellar, and that's one of my projects for next year. I'm going to dig and use some foam block cement reinforced systems to create my own outside of my house little tiny root cellar. Right? There's so many things you can do, and that'll help with food storage long term. What are like, I don't know. There's just so many different things you can do. I think that understanding how to build and practicing with different types of tools is super vitally important. But really, honestly, whatever your current passion is, make that your focus and learn everything you can and do everything you can around that to get better at it.
Absolutely.
I think when I'm thinking DIY, I think how to as well. And for me, what I've been focusing on this year, and I mentioned it in a few times before, is I am trying to perfect my firearm skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
How it fits into how to, right? Scott, you wanted to comment on that? If you have skills or something.
Well, I was just saying, like, I think this is so right in line with what we're just talking about. Like, know how to do the stuff now and create your own gear and create your own solutions. Because when SHTF happens, you can't just go to Amazon and buy stuff, right? I could do a plug right now and say, hey guys, go check out our Amazon store, linked in bio, right? And see some of the stuff we recommend. That's great. Like, get the stuff now, but like learn how to build stuff and do stuff as much as you can now, so it's not too late. You're not up crap creek without a paddle, so to speak.
I guess I should probably stop eating Fritos, huh?
Oh, they work fantastic.
Anything that burns. I can't think of any other kind of food stuff that actually burns.
Pringles.
Well, again, I probably shouldn't be eating those either. Right?
Pringles burn. You don't want to be
not
eating
real
those.
Food, right?
Exactly.
Well, I've burned pizza.
Well, I guess that's you can get that.
You can burn real food if you get anything to temperature. It'll pretty much combust.
Well, you don't want it to have a fire where it's like a fire starter kindling.
Now you're gonna hear us walking around through the woods all the time with little crunchy bags of Fritos. People are like, what is
survival
that?
food and fire starter at the same time?
Yeah.
If I get hungry, I'll just eat my supply.
It'll stop you up probably for a few days. You'll need your anti-diarrheal or whatever to keep going. But anyways.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Pretty cool.
there's so much funny stuff you can do in the world of prep. Like one of the things I'm researching and studying right now are hydrogen on demand tanks. So taking water through a process to split the hydrogen, the H2, and the oxygen O, right, into fuel for my vehicle. And I've learned there's a lot of different companies out there that have created products, and they're like $700 to $1,000. But I've learned like there's ways to do it on your own that are a little bit more readily available. And basically, you just need some pure salts and some sodium. And well, you really don't even need the salts. You just need the sodium, and you need so baking soda, and you need distilled water. Thank you. Distilled water. And with these little systems you can create your own hydrogen system, which makes your engine run cleaner, gives you more horsepower, gives you longer fuel efficiency. So you can actually make that tank last longer. Right. Mm-hmm. And it works on, you can do them for diesel and you can do them for regular fuel. And I'm just like, I'm researching all the different things because I'm in the market right now for a vehicle. And I'm kind of wanting to go older so that I can do more things. Because I've also stumbled across regular fuel fume engines. So instead of pushing it into the engine as liquid and letting the engine combust it in, spray it and combust it and all that other stuff, like just running off the fumes, right? And there's a guy that I've been following. I'll find the video and share it in our Facebook group. But he actually just takes a little 2-gallon red bin, puts it in the front of his truck, put a couple hoses into it, took a couple hoses out of it, and just takes the fumes off of that and then refills that every few hundred miles. And he gets incredible gas mileage. And he just pumps a little bit from the back out of the big tank into that and just keeps going. And I'm like, okay, that's something I need to learn more about. And I have time now. I won't after SHTF, nor do you think I'll be able to find all those videos? No. So download all the videos, store them on your extra hard drive, and put it in a Faraday cage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. There's so many good things that we can do also in terms of medicinal DIYs where we can learn. I was watching a video and somebody was talking about how castor oil has a ton of different remedies that it can be used for. And so, one of the big concerns that I was talking with my next door neighbor, and they're like, Paris, one of my big concerns is medicines. Like, what do I do for medicines? Mm-hmm. We've been so programmed and conditioned for, having a local pharmacy and just going down to the doctor for every little thing, and walking into even the pharmacy that we have to have prescriptions, but also the pharmacy where you can just go buy a Dayquil or whatever. We've been so conditioned that that's how we do things that we don't know all the different natural remedies and things that we can do. We had a great episode with Jordan Gunderson, who's an herbalist, a couple episodes back. If you want to do a search for that, Jordan Gunderson. And he talked about all the different things that he's done and to recreate a lot of the medicines that you would find in the shelves, but in ways that are with herbs and more natural and more pure. And I really like that episode. In fact, I just ordered some things from him to have so that I could have that in my preps. And so I think it's fantastic that if you take the time to learn what's out there, what's available, you can really actually have everything that you need ahead of time. And there's so many things that I heard. This lady was going through all the different things that castor oil said, and I was like, that is awesome. Like, amazing. One thing could do all those, can have so many different remedies and so many different helps that it does.
I love this comment by FTSR. Backpacks are cumbersome. They scream, I have good stuff on my back, and are extremely cumbersome and not convenient in any way. Well, what brings that point up? It's gray man to not have a backpack, to not showcase, hey, look at all the gear I have, right? When I was a scoutmaster, one of the things we did is we talked about civil unrest situations and what to do in those cases. If you're bugging out or you've got to relocate somewhere, hide your bag out of city limits. Get it out of the way. Don't walk through the crowd with it, because then you can become a quick, easy target. People are like, oh, what's he got? Grab his bag. And a lot of times you'll clip the little clips in front of you, and it's harder to get your bag off right away. And in an emergency, you don't want to have that on you. And then Stan Pruitt taught a class on this, and he's like, if you have to have a bag, make it a small bag, a hidden bag, and put a big ugly trench coat over it. And if you happen to see some dog poo, rub it on your coat. People will leave you alone if you have dog poo on you. It's like
That's
the more
so
you
cool.
smell, the less of a target you become.
And the more you look like somebody who doesn't have anything that they
Right.
would want to take.
Look like a bum. You know, Halloween's coming up in 6 months. Learn how to be a bum. There's your challenge. That's a good DIY.
That's what cargo pants are for, right?
Yeah. I guess to have a bunch of different
Until you
things.
start running. Have you ran in cargo pants that are
Yeah,
full?
exactly.
Those things will trip you up so fast.
It'll smack your knees.
Or if you dodge and jump, dive, and dip too wrong, it'll hit you somewhere else. It's not fond of being hit. And that's never fun. But yeah, I don't like most cargo pants for that reason. I wear some 511 pants that have a very thin side pocket that's basically large enough to put like a wallet and maybe a small flashlight with it. But they don't stick out from the pants, so they're not flippy floppy. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So
Low
I can run
profile.
with these and not, very low profile, and it doesn't kill me. I'm safe. Stick to cargo shorts. I think those are worse than cargo pants. Sorry, Mike. I'm gonna argue with you. I thought you were leaving. I thought you were.
Didn't you have somewhere to go?
Just to bust my chops. I love you, dude. I love you, Tom Mike. Maybe his wife left on vacation without him this time again.
Yeah, that's why he needs the Jase case.
There you go.
Well, she needs it.
She needs it. Yeah, he needs it for her.
So he can stay home.
But another DIY project I have on my list is, and this is one I really need to get going on, is I want to build a large smoker. Because we have deer in my neighborhood.
And you can
Loads
cook
of
meat at
deer.
low temperatures.
Cook meat at very low temperature, use very little fuel, and a smoked meat lasts for a lot longer. Like it's seasoned and designed to last for a long time. And I've got turkeys, I've got raccoons too. I guess I could use that. But like the big key is I want to build that now and start using it now. Not one of those pellet smokers you can go buy like that. Those are expensive. Like I want to build my own stuff so it's like smaller, easier profiles to maintain. And if you know how to build it, if you've built it once, you can build it again.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the most important thing. You've built something once, you know how to build it again.
Or
come
build
really
something
close to it.
Build something different, right?
Yeah.
So here's something I've been working on. I don't know if you'll be able to see this picture on the camera here.
It's a greenhouse, isn't
This
it?
is my greenhouse. Yeah, it's
You're building it from
permanent
scratch.
structure.
well, it's a kit, right? So I kind of copped out on building it from scratch and just bought the kit. But I've been practicing my whole life with or when I was younger with my erector set. Right now, it's just the full size erector set, kind of. So
Do it in real life.
yeah, same with the Quonset. Just bolts and nuts and putting things together.
Yeah, sometimes we get overwhelmed with how hard something can be. But I don't want to take away from the fact that things are challenging and there's a genuine learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is that we can do it. You can do it. And when you have that can-do attitude, you'll figure stuff out. And that's to me, that's the essence of do it yourself. Is like sometimes you might come upon a problem that you need to solve, and you're like, okay, I could hire somebody, I could, just quit, I could do whatever. But the self-reliant do-it-yourselfer will say, okay, listen, I've got the capacity. If another human being could figure this out, I know I have the capacity as a human being to figure it out too. And so let's try to figure this out and find a solution. And yes, you're going to screw up a bunch of times. And that's what we're talking about. Try those things now so that if you do screw something up, you can call a professional and say, hey, by the way, I screwed something up. Like my daughter, she bought a dirt bike and she's been wanting to work on it herself. And she's been doing a great job. But there's a couple of things that I think she did that may need some help from a professional. And I'm like, well, you went as far as you could go. Now it's time to bring in somebody else that knows a little bit more. And that's the cool thing, is that she really did grow and learn, and she developed some skills. And I was really impressed and proud of her. And that's something that I think that we should do as do-it-yourselfers, to really make sure that whether it's a greenhouse that we're going to build, whether it's just not even a greenhouse, but what we're just going to put above ground boxes for our garden, or whether we're going to learn how to build our own solar battery bank, or whether we're going to learn how to make our own soap or detergent. And there's a lot of great or learn how to forage in the wilderness to get food and everything else.
Well, speaking of learning, I want to do a special shout out right now. This coming Sunday is Mother's Day. I want to shout out to moms because they're just the most impactful people. My mom taught me so much. One of the funnest things my mom does right now, she has these above ground greenhouse boxes. I mean, I'm sure there's a better name for them, but basically it's a raised garden bed. What's that?
A grow box.
Yeah, she has grow boxes with these little windows that are hinged on top that you just open the window, reach inside, cut out some spinach, whatever. And she has stuff grown in there almost all year round up here in the mountains of Utah. And I'm like, wow, Mom, that's awesome. But growing up, she taught me how to cook. And she didn't cook with the most, exquisite things. She cooked from our food storage. So it was wheat and rice and beans and loads of pastas. I can't even tell you how much pasta we've got stored. But I learned how to do a whole ton of things because of the time I spent with my mom and with my grandma. My grandma did a lot of teaching me how to cook. My lasagna that I make is my grandma's recipe. She was phenomenal. I mean, she even taught me some Great Depression secrets, making chocolate cake with mayonnaise and some other weird stuff and tomato paste. And I'm like, what? And it was the most delicious chocolate cake I've ever had.
Wow.
And so there's some crazy stuff out there. You've just got to start trying it and doing it now. Like, that's the key. And so thank you, moms. I don't know if you guys want to share anything that your mom taught you before we have to sign out, but like, man, I'm super grateful for moms. My wife is an amazing mom to my kids, and it's awesome.
Yeah. Two things that my mom ingrained and she drilled into us, is early to bed, early to rise, right? We're one of those kids where at 8 o'clock in summer, you look out the window, your friends are playing outside. We're in bed, right? You're supposed to be in bed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
every night.
Up at the crack of dawn, regardless of whether it was school or summer, right? There's no sleeping in, or very little sleeping in, right? And that it really has meant a lot to me. I mean, I think that's really important for everybody I totally believe in early to bed, early to rise. Makes men healthy, wealthy, and wise. I know, kind of a silly saying, but I think it's true to an extent. And then my mom always drilled into us, have a talent, learn a talent, and do something worthwhile instead of, we didn't have much video games in my day. I mean, they were coming out, the Ataris and so forth. Never spent much time on video games. Spent time working on piano,
Yep.
And I'm really grateful to my mom to this day for forcing me. Although no matter how much I hated it at the time, and I think that's probably most people who end up play the piano experience the same thing. I want to quit. Then you tell your teacher you're going to quit. Nope, I'm not telling. And so, definitely very grateful for those things.
Yeah, one of the major things that my mom taught me, and salute to all moms out there of all kinds. Women are so powerful in what they can do to influence the next generation and to help them to grow and to develop and nurture them. I just want you to know how much I appreciate moms everywhere. And my mom in particular, one of the things that of all the things, I am the man today that I am because of my mom. But one of the great things that she taught me was to not fear getting to know people. Like, my mom didn't know a stranger in most places that she went. Like, she would meet people, talk to people, she would strike up conversations out of nowhere. And I'm like, Mom, do you even know who that is? She's like, no, they just met him. I'm like, so, and that served me my whole life to just, I can walk into a room and I don't have a fear to talk to people and get to know them. And it's been such a wonderful blessing to be able to connect with people and have that, because there's so many people out there that are just wanting to be connected to and with, and they're a little bit of fear. And I don't necessarily, I still have it. I'm nervous sometimes, but I break through it because I've been trained by my mom that, you just go up and talk to people, because people are people and they just want to be, loved. And so I really appreciate that. That's one of the main things that one of many things that my mom has taught me and shared with me. So amen to moms out there.
Amen. Awesome. Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Amen to moms. DIY, do it yourself. Your mom probably taught you a lot. Clean your room. Go do this. Go do that. Taught you how to do it, then told you to do it. Well, tonight in our episode, it's been about DIYs, kind of essential how-tos. Go do it. Take a lesson from mom and go get it done. It's just like cleaning your room. You know how to do it because you started once and you've been cleaning it ever since. Hopefully cleaning it ever since. Otherwise, you're
right.
A hoarder and we're worried about you.
Mm-hmm.
But go out there and get something done this summer. Learn and do. And with that, we'll bid you adieu for another week. We'll catch you on the next episode. Thanks for tuning in. And be sure to hit up preppertalkradio.com. Join the email list. Make sure you like and follow this page. And you know what? We're all going to be good to go. Take care.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you.